Chassidic gems on Parshas Vayikra. It says in the pasuk, "V'yormarto aleihem," you should say to them, "Odam ki yakriv mikem." If a person, it's like it said, "Odam mikem ki yakriv." That's the simple pshat. If a person of you wants to offer a korban, etc., etc. That's the simple. The Chassidic Terelach say, ki yakriv, it's talking about being mekarev. If you want the secret of how to be mekarev somebody to Yiddishkeit, somebody that's far, and you want to bring him closer, ki yakriv, if you want to be mekarev people to Avodas Hashem, then what's the secret of being capable of doing it? Mikem. First, you have to be mekarev yourself. You have to bring yourself close to Yiddishkeit. And then you can have the ability to be mekarev others. And I remember a story that a Baal Tshuva came into Kesatorah, Yeshiva Kesatorah. He was like frum for a few short weeks. And he was already looking to be mekarev people to Yiddishkeit, which is very good. But he wasn't exactly enough involved in Yiddishkeit. So he comes into the yeshiva by us, and he says, "What are you learning now?" "Oh," I said, "we're learning Kedushin about a person marrying a half a woman." He says, "What? Marrying a half a woman?" He says, "Why don't you go out better and bring people closer to Yiddishkeit? What is all that stuff that you're learning about?" And that's exactly what this verse is talking about. That if somebody makes fun of Torah, he doesn't even have to make fun of Torah, but he's unlearned. He means well, he wants to bring people closer to Yiddishkeit. It can't work. It can't really work unless mikem, unless he is mekarev himself first, unless he becomes more frum and more educated himself. Continuing with Chassidic gems on Parshas Vayikra. At the beginning of Parshas Vayikra, pasuk beis, it says, "Odam ki yakriv mikem korban Hashem." If a person offers offering a korban, a sacrifice to Hashem, min habehema, min haboka, of the cattle. So Rashi says, not all the cattle. Not all cattle can be offered as a korban on the mizbeach. L'hoitzi es hanevad. This comes to exclude an animal that was worshipped as a god. If people worshipped an animal as a god, they cannot offer that animal on the mizbeach, on the altar. That's the simple. The Chassidic Terelach or Rav HaKodesh Rabbi Yisrael Mimojitz says, if somebody thinks that he made it already, he's nevad. See, nevad means was worshipped as a god, but also means he's already worked through. He's finished. He finished everything already. He made it. So if somebody says that I made it, that's what we call the Muhammad Ali pshat. I'm the greatest. Muhammad Ali used to go around saying, "I'm the greatest." So if somebody says, "I made it," I made it, and now I could sit and watch TV all day or whatever, right? That person is puzzle for the avodah. He's disqualified. When the Rashi brings down Chazal, L'hoitzias hanevad, it comes to exclude an animal that was worshipped. It comes to exclude an animal that was finished, that the person says, "I'm finished already." And that person is disqualified from doing the Avodas Hashem. Continuing with Chassidic gems on Parshas Vayikra. In pasuk 9, it says when you bring a korban oila as a sacrifice, it says, "V'kirboi ucharov yirchatz pamoyim." Its innards, and its legs shall be washed with water. That's the simple. Harav HaKodesh again, Rabbi Yisrael Mimodrit says that Krov means his legs, but it also means like Vanachnu Kodim. Kodim means he lowers himself. He's very humble. Talking about humility. The pasuk is saying that your humility, you have to wash with water. You have to cleanse yourself to see that your humility is honest and you're not deceiving yourself. Sometimes a person can be the biggest balgaiva and he could act humble, but he could be the biggest arrogant person. So the pasuk is saying ukrov. Instead of translating it to mean the legs have to be legs of the animal have to be washed, ukrov, meaning his lowering himself, vanachnu kodim, his lowering himself, his being humble has to be cleansed to see if he truly inside and outside is really humble, or is he perhaps a big balgaiva that's just acting humbly. Continuing with Chassidic gems on Parshas Vayikra, it says, "V'shochat oisai al yerach hamizbeach tzofeino lefnei Hashem." Tzofeino lefnei Hashem. These are the words we're talking about. That they should slaughter the animal that the Torah is speaking about here on the side of the mizbeach, which is northward, before Hashem. The north side of the mizbeach, he should slaughter it. That's the simple. The Chassidic Torah are telling us Tzofona means northward, the north. But Tzofona means also hidden. There's a very famous Musa Sefer, Chochmas HaMatzpun, the wisdom of the hidden things. Tzofona means hidden. So the pasuk is telling us a message. If somebody hides the good things that he does, doesn't advertise them, that person will be zoicha to be lifnei Hashem, before Hashem. If he is zoicha, sometimes a person does good things, he just wants to advertise it and gain pleasure for himself out of people admiring him for doing such great things. No. When you're doing it for Hashem. You're not doing it so other people should know about it. You and Hashem, and that's the way you have to do your deeds, good deeds. Keep it concealed. Keep it only between you and Hashem. And then, so fina, if you're able to hide your good deeds, you will be zecha to be lifnei Hashem. You will be before Hashem. Continuing with Chassidic gems on Parshas Vayikra, it says in Vayikra Aleph, Pasuk Yud Gimel, V'hakerev v'hakra'ayim yirchatz b'moyim. The innards, something like we just said, something like it, but it's a separate pasuk. V'hakerev v'hakra'ayim yirchatz b'moyim. The inwards of the animal and the legs of the animal shall he wash with water. That's the simple. The Chassidic Torah are telling us that we see here a great secret of how to correct two sins. The first sin is taivas achila. This is like an OA shot. Overeaters Anonymous, or just somebody has tremendous taiva for achila, for eating. How does he misakin it? How could he correct himself? And also another terrible Avera of somebody that's poigim bebris kodesh. Somebody, Rahman al-Itzlan, is he was mitzi zera levatola, which is a terrible sin. How does he correct himself? So the Chassidic Torah are telling us that this pasuk says it all. V'hakerev, the innards, That means the innards, the inner part of the human being, which digests the food, and that alerts the person to taivas achila. Kerev, if somebody has a temptation for eating, how does he correct himself? We'll soon see. 1 second. Va'akra'ayim, if somebody sins with his legs, meaning with his bris kodesh, what does he do to correct it? The answer is, for both of them, yirchatz b'moyim, he should wash them in water. What kind of water? Tears. Bechi and dema, he should cry and cry and cry and ask Hashem to help. Continuing with Chassidic gems on what we were just speaking about to correct a taivas achila, temptation for eating. I once was working with somebody and we passed a bakery, and the person was like in a trance. The person saw the bakery and just couldn't walk any further, just went right into the bakery, couldn't stop, was in a trance. Such a taivas achila, and that's something we have to be able to control. Continuing with Chassidic gems on Parshas Vayikra. It says in the pasuk, Asher nosi yechta, which we were speaking about before, where Asher seems to be out of place. It should have said if, and not that a leader sinned. If a leader sins, the Torah went out of its way to say Asher. So we spoke about that before. Chazal learned Ashrei form. That's the simple. The Chassidic Torah translating it Asher. Asher Nosi, one that elevates himself. And as a big, arrogant person, he's a Balgaivanik, he's a Muhammad Ali, I'm the greatest. Yechta, that is a terrible sin. Arrogance is a terrible sin. Asher Nosi Yechta. The one that elevates himself is a sinner. A sikum of all the hashkafas, a summary of the hashkafas that we just said, just the hashkafa without the chazal, without the pasuk, just the hashkafa, the true hashkafas HaTorah, the Torah viewpoint, would like to summarize it in a very short sentence or two. We spoke about the only way that a person can successfully be makar of people to Yiddishkeit is when he's makar, he should first bring himself closer to Yiddishkeit. Otherwise, it's not going to last and it's not going to be successful. We learned also that a person that thinks that he made it already. I made it. I'm it. I learned a little bit. I made it. I don't have to do anything anymore. If a person has such a hashkafa, such a wrong outlook, that person is posel avoda. He's disqualified. He's not in the right place. Continuing the summary of the Hashkafas HaTorah that we learned from the Chassidic Torah, from the Chassidic gems, we learned that if somebody is humility itself needs to be cleansed, to make sure that it's not an external humility, but in his heart he says, I'm the greatest, but he must cleanse and be thoroughly, internally and externally, to be humble. He has to cleanse, he has to search through his humility to see if it's in the right place. Continuing the summary of the Hashkafas HaTorah from the Chassidic gems, we learned that a person must conceal the good deeds that he does, not to advertise them. And then he is in the right place and he's doing the right thing. You can't do things and advertise them. Sort of, you're doing it for people to give you cover, to give you honor. No, you have to conceal it. It's you and Hashem. We also learned that a way of tikkun, to correct two difficult sins, one of taivas achila, one of temptation for food, tremendous temptation for food, and one who was moitzi zera v'vatoler, Rahman al-Atzlan, he was poigim bebris kodesh. That person, the tikkun for both of those things, according to the Chassidic Torah, is yirchatz b'mayim, the pasuk says, which they interpret to mean not water, but tears. You have to cry and you have to beg Hashem to help you, to forgive you for those sins. Then the last thing we said was, if somebody is a balgaiva, if somebody has gaiva in him, he should know that yechta, it is a terrible sin. We should be zeicha to do all the hashkafas atayra that we learned. We should be zeicha to do them properly.